Join our family of creators. Your support means the world to us. Subscribe now to the Content Creator channel. Your support keeps us motivated and helps us bring you fresh, exciting content every week. Hit that subscribe button and be part of our journey. Something interesting is happening in the polls. Let's take a closer look at the latest numbers and what they might signify for the upcoming election cycle. For the first time in nearly a year, Donald Trump's average approval among likely Republican primary voters has dipped below 45%. This is a noteworthy development that warrants further examination. This isn't a dramatic crash, but in political polling, slow, steady movements often signal real change. These subtle shifts can be just as telling as sudden surges or collapses. 6 months ago, Trump polled around 52%, a comfortable lead that suggested a strong hold on the Republican base. Today it's closer to 44%, an 8-point drop. That's a significant decrease that can impact campaign strategy and resource allocation. While he's still the front-runner, this is not the momentum a campaign wants. Maintaining a lead requires constant effort and adaptation to the changing political landscape. The trend matters. A candidate wants to be gaining, not losing support as the election nears. Positive momentum heading into the primaries can create a sense of inevitability and attract more support. This isn't a collapse, but it's a cooling of enthusiasm that deserves a closer look. It's crucial to understand the reasons behind this shift in voter sentiment. The decline is happening as other candidates define themselves more clearly. As the field narrows, voters are starting to differentiate between the candidates and their platforms. Voters are being presented with alternatives, offering them a broader range of choices and perspectives. And some are starting to shop around. They are carefully weighing their options and considering which candidate best represents their interests. In previous cycles, Trump's base was famously loyal, a seemingly impenetrable wall of support. But now, a small segment seems open to persuasion. This shift could be attributed to various factors, including changing priorities or concerns about electability. What's notable is the persistence of this trend. It's not a one-week dip. This suggests a more fundamental shift in voter sentiment rather than a temporary fluctuation. Multiple high-quality polls show a consistent month-over-month slide. This reinforces the validity of the trend and minimizes the possibility of statistical error. When different pollsters all point in the same direction, it's a signal, not just noise. The convergence of multiple polls strengthens the evidence and increases confidence in the findings. The political ground is shifting beneath our feet. The established norms and assumptions of the past may no longer hold true in this evolving environment. Next, we'll dig into which voters are moving, examining the demographic and geographic breakdown of the shifting support, what's motivating them, and what it could mean for the next election. Understanding these motivations is crucial for predicting the outcome and shaping future campaign strategies. Let's break down the national polling averages to get a clearer picture of where things stand. We'll examine the data from various sources and see what the overall trends are indicating about the Republican primary race. As of July 18th, the 538 average, a widely respected source for polling aggregation, puts Trump's support among likely Republican voters at 44.2%. This figure represents a significant portion of the party, but it's crucial to compare it to past performance. This is down from 53.1% in late 2024. This decline suggests a shift in voter sentiment and a potential weakening of Trump's grip on the Republican base. The trend is clear. It's not just a minor fluctuation, a slow, steady decline over 7 months. This sustained decrease warrants a closer look at the underlying factors driving this change. This isn't a statistical blip. It's not an anomaly or an outlier in the data. It's a pattern across Quinnipiac, a well-regarded polling organization known for its rigorous methodology, Marist, Fox News, and more. The consistency across different polling organizations strengthens the validity of this downward trend. Trump's lost support isn't consolidating behind a single rival. Instead, it's fragmenting, spreading across multiple candidates. DeSantis has ticked up to 22%, gaining some traction in the polls, Youngkin to 8%. These gains, while not enough to surpass Trump, indicate a potential shift in the landscape. No single challenger has emerged as the definitive alternative, creating a complex and unpredictable primary race. So, the anti-Trump vote remains split, preventing any one candidate from gaining significant momentum. In head-to-head matchups where candidates are directly compared against each other, Trump's lead over DeSantis has narrowed from 20 points to single digits, suggesting a tightening race between the two. A consolidated field where multiple candidates drop out and endorse a single challenger could pose a real threat to Trump's nomination. The intensity of Trump's support is also softening, indicating a potential vulnerability. In January, 85% of his voters said their support was locked in, unwavering and committed. Now it's about 75%. This represents a notable decrease in committed support. That means a quarter of his current supporters are open to other options, making them potentially persuadable. This soft support is vulnerable to campaign messaging and events, meaning targeted advertising and strategic rallies could sway these voters. The battleground within the GOP primary is shifting, becoming more dynamic and competitive. The story isn't just about numbers falling. It's not simply a matter of declining poll numbers. It's about where those numbers are going, which candidates are benefiting from this shift in support. That's what makes this trend so important, because it reveals the evolving dynamics of the Republican primary race. The suburbs are where, for decades, presidential elections have been won and lost. They represent a diverse cross-section of the American population, and their voting patterns often mirror the broader national sentiment. But now, Trump's support is eroding most significantly in these critical areas. This shift could have profound implications for the upcoming elections. Suburban voters in swing states like Arizona are increasingly questioning their allegiance. Pennsylvania and Georgia, once considered strongholds, are showing clear signs of fatigue with the former president's brand of politics. The enthusiasm that once propelled him to victory seems to be waning. Trump's favorability in suburban counties is just 38%, a concerning figure for any candidate hoping to capture the White House. And with 59% unfavorable, it paints a picture of deep-seated dissatisfaction. These numbers suggest a significant challenge in winning back these crucial voters. Suburban women, especially those with college degrees, are moving away, a demographic that has historically leaned Republican, but is now increasingly alienated. Only 32% support him against Biden, indicating a substantial erosion of support within this key voting bloc. This is down from 39% in 2020, a clear indication of a downward trend that cannot be ignored. The reasons range from divisive rhetoric to unpopular policy stances, creating a perfect storm of discontent. But the trend is unmistakable. Suburban voters are increasingly turning away from Trump. While Trump's base in rural areas remains solid, providing a reliable foundation of support, he's failing to gain ground, and in fact, losing ground, in the crucial suburban battlegrounds. Economic concerns aren't translating into suburban support as one might expect, suggesting that other factors are at play. Many suburban voters are prioritizing political stability and a return to normalcy over purely economic issues, a sentiment that could prove decisive. This creates a ceiling on his potential support in key battlegrounds, limiting his ability to expand his appeal beyond his core base. In a primary, where voter turnout is typically lower and more ideologically driven, this may not be fatal, but it's a major vulnerability, a significant handicap, for the general election, where a broader coalition is needed to secure victory. Trump's brand has become toxic for a crucial slice of the electorate he needs to win, potentially jeopardizing his chances of returning to the White House. There's a growing age gap in Trump's support. He's strong with voters over 65, but among those under 45, his numbers have dropped from 48 to 39% in 6 months. Among independents aged 18 to 44, only 28% view him favorably. Younger voters see Trump as a symbol of a chaotic political past. Issues like climate change and student debt matter more to them than culture wars. Trump's messaging isn't resonating with this group, and his communication style misses younger audiences. The GOP needs to replenish its coalition with younger voters, but Trump is struggling to connect. While older voters turn out reliably, their share of the electorate is shrinking. This generational gap is a warning sign for the party's future. What's driving Trump's decline? It's a mix of factors. Voter fatigue is real. After nearly a decade in the spotlight, some Republicans are exhausted by the constant drama. Suburban and younger voters want a less chaotic, more forward-looking leader. Economic concerns aren't automatically helping Trump. Some associate his presidency with volatility. Ongoing legal troubles are a major turnoff for swing voters and moderates. Legal issues raise questions about character and fitness for office, giving previous supporters permission to look elsewhere. Rivals like DeSantis and Youngkin are drawing contrasts in style and effectiveness, not just policy. They're offering Trumpism without Trump, appealing to those seeking an off-ramp. This message is resonating with a slice of the GOP electorate. The shift is less about ideology and more about leadership style and stability. Several key events have shaped these polling shifts. The ongoing federal indictment and legal proceedings have kept negative headlines in the news, fueling voter fatigue. A tell-all book by a former White House aide in March painted an unflattering picture, causing a dip in Trump's favorability among independents. In May, Trump's speech proposing new tariffs energized his base but alienated moderates and business-minded voters. Meanwhile, rivals like DeSantis and Youngkin have been active, passing legislation and launching tours, looking forward while Trump deals with legal issues. The contrast has made the party's appetite for new leadership more apparent. The cumulative effect, Trump's coalition is slowly eroding at the edges. Compared to previous cycles, Trump's position is more vulnerable. He's no longer the outsider or the incumbent. Now he's a former president facing credible internal challenges. His 44% is well below the 60 to 70% he once commanded. Still, he leads a fractured field. DeSantis at 22%, Youngkin at 8%, others in single digits. As long as challengers split the non-Trump vote, his plurality is enough to win primaries. But in general election matchups, Trump and Biden are in a statistical dead heat, while other Republicans poll slightly better. This creates a dilemma for GOP voters: stick with Trump, or pick a new face with broader appeal. The slow decline in Trump's numbers shows more voters are questioning his electability. A growing minority is starting to see a different nominee as a better path to victory. What do these trends mean for the election? The most likely scenario, Trump's support solidifies, and he wins the nomination if the field stays crowded. His campaign would focus on mobilizing his base and hoping for economic dissatisfaction or a Biden misstep. If the field narrows to a two-person race, head-to-head polls suggest a much tighter contest. A challenger would need early wins to build momentum and unite the anti-Trump vote. There's even a slim chance of a brokered convention if no one secures a majority of delegates. That would be unpredictable and could damage party unity. Trump's path to the nomination is more complicated than in previous cycles. His floor of support is high, but his ceiling is lower. The general election would likely be a base versus base battle with little room for persuasion. Trump's success depends on massive turnout to offset deficits with key groups. In summary, Trump remains the dominant force in the GOP, but his position is eroding. Support has slipped from over 50% to the mid-40s, opening the door for challengers. The biggest shifts are among suburban and younger voters, groups he needs to win nationally. Voter fatigue, legal troubles, and credible rivals are chipping away at his coalition. No single event has been a knockout blow, but the cumulative effect is real. Trump's path to the White House is more complicated and fraught with challenges than ever. He can still win, but his margin for error is shrinking. The once unthinkable question is now real: is the GOP ready to move on?